Hey there, CJ Math students, and welcome to homework 2.12. So be forewarned, this is going to be a tricky homework. You got to really lock in and focus and listen to what I'm saying. So this is an extension homework, our first one, where we're taking rules that we've learned not only from fractions and decimals and now integers, but trying to put them all together, right? So adding rational numbers is this title. So first of all, I'm starting you off easy. Number one, -6 plus -4 plus -1. So that's obviously an SSAK. Same signs, add them, keep the sign. So -6 and -4 gives you -10, and then -10 plus -1 obviously gives you -11. Please make sure you show that work just like I have on number 2. Number 3, I have 1 plus -3 plus 2. I already see that I have different signs, so different signs subtract more. But first, I would rewrite this as 1 plus 2 plus -3. Then I could say, all right, 1 plus 2, that's 3. Now I can use my rules of different signs, subtract and keep the sign that has more. So when I do 3 minus 3, I get 0. This is called the additive, I put too many D's there, sorry. Additive inverse, right? Do I want you to write that down? Absolutely, 0. All right, let's move on down to number 5. We have 7 plus -4 plus -1. So this is kind of already in order for us. We can use SSAK here to say that that's -5. Drop down the 7 plus. So now I have 7 plus -5, and that's different signs, subtract more. So obviously, 7 minus 5 is 2. I have more positives, so that's positive 2C. Now, on 7 through 10, it's going to be super important that you line up your decimals. You have to do this. If you don't do it, if you don't line up your decimals, if you don't borrow, you're going to be really, really in a sorry place here. So first of all, first type, DSSM. So I want to put 5.66 minus 2.82 on the bottom. Why do I want to do that? I want to put the bigger absolute value, or the one that has the absolute value of the bigger whole number, on top so I can actually subtract. So 6 minus 2 is 4. I cannot do 6 minus 8. I have to borrow. So that becomes a 4. This becomes a 1. Please look out for borrowing. 16 minus 8 is 8. 4 minus 2 is 2. 2.84. But you're like, wait, where's the negative? There's more negatives. That's where the more comes in place. So it's going to be a negative 2.84. A is your answer. I would pause right now, and I would do number 8. And I would set it up, not 5.8 minus 7.3, 7.3 minus 5.8. Ignore the negative signs when you're doing this, the SSM. When you set it up, I mean, don't ignore them altogether. But then look at the whole numbers and just be like, all right, which one has the higher whole number without a negative number, right? That's that absolute value piece that I'm talking about. Here, number 9, I was easy on you. SSAK, same signs, add, keep. So you're just doing -5 plus -0.6. Ooh, and I was almost not lining up my decimals here, but 0.0 right there. Add them up, 6, 5. Notice this is addition, right? 5.6. There's no swooping involved or anything like that. It's -5.6. You just add them and keep the sign, right? But I did try and do my best to line up my decimals. It doesn't matter which one you put on top or bottom there. Number 11, DSSM, different sign, subtract. So 7.9, because it's got the bigger absolute value of a whole number, minus, you don't have to put -6.8, 6.08. Notice how my decimals are lined up, right? I'll put in a 0 there. And now I can't do 0 minus 8. I got to borrow from the 9. That becomes an 8. 10 minus 8, that's 2. 8 minus 0 is 8. 7 minus 6 is 1. Put the decimal exactly where it is. No swooping, none of that. And now it's positive because I had more positives than I did negatives. Okay? I would pause right now and do number 12. Right? 13, it says find each sum, but look, we're dealing with fractions, so what do we need to make sure we do? Common denominators. We'll say common denoms for short, right? Type right off the bat, DSSM. So here's the tough part. Just because we have fractions, we can't just start to ignore all these integer rules that we have. And just because we're working with integers doesn't mean we can ignore the fractions rules. So we still have to find common denominators. I'll say times 7 times 7. And we still have to find common denominators over here, times 6 times 6. And this is now 35 over 42 plus -60 over 42. All right. So now basically what this becomes is 35 plus negative 60, right? Since we have common denominators. So you have to use your integer rules, different sign, subtract. You want to do basically 60 minus 35. Gotta borrow. So that becomes a 5, that becomes a 10, 5, 25. And that's going to stay negative 25 over 42. All right, why is it negative 25? Because we had more negatives. I know, that was super tricky, super complicated. If I were you, I'd pause, rewind, and then attempt number 14. All right, number 15. Again, this time we're lucky. We got same signs, add, keep, right? But we need to find common denominators. I could multiply by 3. I could multiply by 6 here, but wait a second. If I put my finger on 3 and my finger on 6 on my reference sheet and I move across, I'll notice that 6 is actually the common multiple. So I just got to multiply by 2 on this one, and then I'll be done. So I got negative 5 over 6. Don't forget these pesky little negatives. Plus negative 4 over 6. And because this is same signs, add and keep the sign, I just get to add those up and keep the sign. So I have negative 5 plus 4, 9 over 6, right? Now, obviously, I got to simplify this because it's 9 over 6. It's an improper fraction. So I'll say 6 goes into 9 one time with 3 left over, right? So that's 1 and 3 6. Oops, sorry about that. 1 and 3 6, which is really 1 and 1/2, right? And now you're still like, wait, 1 and 1/2, I don't see that anywhere. Well, use your ST math skills, right? You know what 1 and 1/2 is an improper fraction. It's 3 over 2. And remember the entire time that this was negative. The other way you could say is, oh, just divide both of these by 3. So there's multiple ways to get to the answer on that one. And it's negative 3 over 2. Sometimes I think you guys are a little bit afraid when there's multiple ways. Don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. Pause and try and do number 16. All right, number 17. Sorry, I had to adjust some of my writing here. So number 17. What we're going to first do is go ahead and say, all right, this is a DSSM. Sorry, guys, this won't erase for whatever reason. And then we're going to find common denominators. Again, same common denominators as the last one, times 2 times 2. 7 over 6 plus, keep a keen eye out for it, look out for it. It's a negative 10 over 6. All right, now DSSM, different sign, subtract. Don't just add up 7 plus 10. Think about what the letters mean, all right? 7 plus negative 10, subtract. 10 minus 7 is 3, and it stays negative 3 because we have more negatives than we do positive. Negative 3 over 6, and there's no improper fraction here, so there's no divide 6 into 3 or all that stuff. Just simplify. Divide both by 3. They both can be divided by 3, and so you get your answer of negative 1/2. Right? D is your answer. Guys, this is tricky stuff. There's a lot of rules you got to remember. You got to pay attention to details. Those pesky little negatives will make an entire problem wrong if you don't keep track of them. So don't talk out loud in a study hall, but constantly talk to yourself. Actively do this when you're doing it in a study hall, but keep the comments up in your brain. Right? At home, feel free to talk to yourself. If you have questions, please feel free to give me a call.